those individuals in California. It's a beautiful state. I tell you, within 30 miles of that beach, anywhere from Northern California to Chula Vista, is just a beautiful part of the world. So there's a point in time when you overtax and overregulate, and people have to leave, and they're at that point. So we want to let them know that Texas is open for business, and that we welcome them to come to the state of Texas. Just don't bring any of their liberal habits. But seriously, it's you know, that's why we're here today, is from the standpoint of this is a company that understands that as they could be anywhere in the world, and they are, and all over the world, and a lot of places in the United States. And as they made the decision about where to be, it was coming and expanding this operation. Byron and I were just talking about that this environment that's been created in the state of Texas by the senator and by your state representative is the envy of the country. There are the other 49 states. I probably couldn't get the governors to admit they want to be Texans, but I think I could get them all to admit that they would dearly love to have the economy that we have created in this state. And trust me, the senator and the representative and I, it's not lost on us why this has happened. Yes, we've had the opportunity to help create a tax and a regulatory and a legal environment that's been the people of the state of Texas. It's been the entrepreneurs. It's been the workforce that we've been able to develop here. And so this is a very much a celebratory day. And today's the product of a lot of hard work. And hard work by our friends here at Pactiv. It's been officials at the local level. It's been your local elected officials. It's been your Chamber of Commerce. It's been your economic development folks working together to put the pieces of this puzzle together. But one of the things that's happened over the last decade is all across the country, even around the globe, Made in Texas has really started to resonate. Caterpillar, one of the great names of the international construction world. Every engine that's manufactured for Caterpillar can put a Made in Texas stamp on it. In Seguin, Texas, they opened that engine manufacturer. They moved their excavator plant to Victoria, Texas. 1.1 million square feet in that facility. So, Facebook, eBay, all have looked around the world. Where do we want to expand? Or where do we want to relocate? In the case of Caterpillar, and Texas was the name that time after time in this last decade has come up. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because of individuals like Byron and Brian and their colleagues in Austin, Texas, who made right decisions over the course of the last 12 years when it came to your taxes, and understanding that we need to keep the tax burden as low on the job creators as we can, and for that matter, on the men and women who earn their salaries here. We're approaching this very holy and celebratory holiday season. And there are a lot of people in the state of Texas who have jobs and are being able to take care of their families better than anywhere else in the world because of decisions that were made in Austin, Texas, dealing with tax and regulatory. And businessmen and women knew they could keep more of what they worked for if they were here in this state. And listen, this isn't just me that says this. It's Chief Executive Officer Magazine that picked Texas for the 8th year in a row as the best state in the nation to do business. It's Forbes and USA Today and CNBC all of those business-oriented publications that over the last decade have time after time said, Texas is the place you want to be. And, you know, our challenge is to make sure we keep it that way. And we're going to start a new legislative session here in about 20 days. And these guys will leave their families and their businesses and head down to Austin for 140 days to get the work of the state done. And, you know, we'll discuss about, you know, whether we need to continue programs like the Texas Enterprise Fund. And, you know, I make the argument that is one of the reasons you all decided to stay here, decided to expand here. And over the course of the 10 years it's been in place, it has paid out about $487 million. But that investment has brought the state of Texas over $17 billion worth of capital investment and over 66,000 jobs directly attributable to that, including these 200 that are going to be added right here in Corsicana, Texas. I happen to think that's a pretty good return on your investment. So, again, it didn't happen by chance. And I can't tell you how proud I am to get to represent this state, represent the people of this state, the hard-working men and women who every day get up, and go to work, risk their capital. But they know something. They know that in Austin, Texas, for over a decade now, that men and women understand what it's like to run a small business, what it's like to keep the doors of a business open, the cost, the regulatory impact, the cost of taxes, the cost of a regulatory impact. In 2003, they passed the most sweeping tort reform in the nation. And they added to it last session when they came back in and passed loser pay, which clearly sent the message if you file a frivolous lawsuit, you're going to pay the other side's legal costs and their legal fees, court costs and legal fees. Continuing to set the message. And the reason that's important is that I can promise you, Bobby Jindal over in Louisiana, he gets up every day trying to figure out how to come over and get a business from Texas or lure a business like Pactiv over. Susana Martinez over in New Mexico, I can promise you she's thinking about today, what do we need to do on taxes and regulations, what incentive programs that we need to put in place to draw a business into our state. And I love that because it requires Byron and Brian and myself to go back in January and sit down and look at our tax code. One of the reasons we call for eliminating that margins tax from the $1 million level all the way down and doing it permanently is so that small businessmen and women know that, you know what, they're still paying attention to us. And they know that we need to have as light an impact on them tax-wise. We need to make sure that our regulatory climate continues to protect our environment, but allows for those businesses to be built and be built timely. We know that Texas is one of the great locations to expand the energy industry in America. You know, I hope our friends in Washington, D.C. understand the importance of opening up that XL pipeline to bring energy into the state of Texas to be refined. That they don't strangle the shale gas play in the state of Texas or in North Dakota or Pennsylvania or the other places where. And the fact is, we probably don't know all of the gas and oil that's underneath our lands. But America could be and should be, and I hope will be, independent of those countries who aren't particularly our friends, but by the grace of God, they have a lot of energy underneath their soils. But Texas will continue to be a leader in job creation. because of people like you, who, when given the freedom, will risk your capital. You will risk your capital, and you will hire men and women in this state, and they in turn will be able to take care of their families. And that's what today's celebration is really about. It's about these men and women right over here who have a job in this facility because Pactiv knows that they can invest in this city, in this county, in this state, and they can have a chance to have a good return on their investment. That's what we have created in this state. So I want to ask to come to the podium an individual who understands that the Texas way is the good way, and that what we're doing in the state of Texas is leading the nation from the standpoint of sending